I've had such great response to my first two Takadimi videos and a number of questions, so I thought it would be prudent to do another video. And this is like I say in all my other videos, don't hesitate to leave comments because a lot of times it'll spur me to do another video. And oftentimes with things like this, it's much easier to actually make a video than it is to leave all this information in a comment. Today's video is going to start covering some of those more advanced rhythms that you see within your music and how the Takadimi can relate to figuring out what you need to play for those rhythms. And I can kind of see the direction that some of these questions are starting to go. So I'm already planning out a couple more videos, and we'll make this into a little bit longer of a series that will deal with mixed meters, 6/8 time, 3/8 to 5/8, and some of those different meters you might come across, and how you can use this to help figure out some of those more advanced rhythms. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to write out some of the rhythms when I switch over to my iPad like I've done in my previous videos, but I'm also going to play some of those rhythms. I have a drum pad sitting just off camera in front of me so that you get a chance to hear how those rhythms go along with the counting, so you can kind of put it all together, and I'll have a metronome going. So hopefully that will help you kind of put it all together a little bit, because it's one thing to see it on screen and hear me explain it than it is to sit down and do it yourself. It does take some time and a lot of practice. So if you haven't seen my first two videos, I would check those out. My first video, I start with the very basic rhythms: whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, and I believe we also did dotted half notes. In the next video, we went into 8th note and 16th note based rhythms. And then in this one, we're going to break down some of the 8th note rhythms into smaller divisions and go through those. So let's jump in on the iPad. So I'm going to take just a quick minute and just show a couple of examples that I went over in some of my previous videos and play them on the drum pad, just so you get a chance to kind of hear it real quickly before we delve into the other stuff. So as I said, in our first video, we started out with whole notes, which get 4 beats, and you would say ta, ah, ah, ah. Half notes, actually we'll do dotted half notes, kind of go in order here, get 3 beats, which would just be ta, ah, ah. So the whole note, 4 beats. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the dotted half note only gets 3 beats. You get the 1, 2, 3. Then we've got the half note that gets 2 beats. That's just ta, ah. And then we've got our quarter note that just gets 1 beat, and that is a ta. Whoops, flip that around. Holy cow. I think I'd keep it actually the same. So we got ta, and that just gets 1 beat. So if I see these in an example, let's do a whole note, followed by 2 half notes. Excuse my poor note writing here. And we'll do 4 quarter notes. So now I've got the rhythm written out. We're going to go through it on the drum pad. I've got my metronome ready to go, and I've got it set to quarter note equals 90. I don't want to go too fast because we're trying to figure this out as we go. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Ta, ah, 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 ta, ah, ta, ah, ta, 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 ta. And that's how that example goes. Remember, the tas and the ahs always go with the metronome click. Now in another one here, let's add in some 8th notes. So I'm going to start off the metronome. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Ta, ta, ta-dee, ta-dee, takadimi, ta-dee, ta, ta. Let me try that one more time. 1, 2, ready, go. Ta, ta, ta-dee, ta-dee, takadimi, ta-dee, ta, ta. We'll stop that metronome. So that's just a quick review of what we went over in the previous lessons. Obviously, there's a couple more rhythms thrown in there that I'm not covering in this one because I want to get to the questions that I've had as of late. And those questions relate to dotted 8th notes. So rhythms that look like this. Or like this. So it's either a 16th note following a dotted 8th note or a dotted 8th note following a 16th note. So we kind of want to go back and review 4/16 notes. That'll kind of help us see the root of this. So I've got my 4/16 here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out the first example below this and in its place. So I've got the Takadimi. Now below it, I'm going to fill in the first example from above. So the dotted eighth note followed by the 16th. So we know the dotted eighth note equals 3/16 notes. And then that last note is on its own. So it's going to look like a really big example, but it hopefully will help make the point. And if you just fill in what's above, the ta starts there, and that means the mi is there. So if I write out a few of these examples with just this rhythm, I'm going to do just 4 of them. Give me just a second here to get these written out. Again, please excuse the quick note writing. Bink. Throw that 16th note in there and then dot the 8th note. So we got ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi ta. And if I slow it down and do what's called subdividing, where I'm thinking through everything as I play it, if I do a bunch of these in a row, Takadimi, 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 ta. I'm only playing on the ta and the mi. So if I look at this example down below and just think the ka-di to myself, ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi. And let me get the metronome going. 1, 2, ready, go. Ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi. 1, 2, ready, go. Ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi. So without the metronome, ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi. What you want to be careful of is you're not doing ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi ta, because you're going to end up shortening that dotted eighth note a little bit and making that 16th note a little too long. So it's ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi. Think of that 16th note that you see at the end here almost connected to that next eighth note. Ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi ta, mi. Now if we flip that around, so we still start with the ta, that doesn't change. But now we need to figure out where that dotted eighth note falls. So if we go back up here a little bit to the Takadimi, the dotted eighth note takes up 3 of the 16th notes. So we'd be doing taka, 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 taka. So if I get the metronome going, taka, 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 taka. 1, 2, ready, go. Taka, 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 taka. And that's how that fits in. So now let's put this kind of into real world examples here. So let's do 2 quarter notes, do eighth notes, then let's do dotted eighth note 16th. We're pretending this is in 4/4. Then we'll do a quarter note, followed by, we're going to kind of make this a little bit trickier just so you get a sense for how this works, followed by a 16th note. Now what we're going to throw in is we're going to throw in the 16th note first, followed by the dotted eighth note. Actually, let's talk through this slowly first, just before we start that. So it's going to go ta, ta, ta-di, ta, mi ta, takadimi, taka, ta. All right, so let's start the metronome and do it on the drum pad. 1, 2, ready, go. Ta, ta, ta-di, ta, mi ta, takadimi, taka, ta. Let me do it without saying it just so you can hear it. 1, 2, ready, go. Try it one more time saying it. 1, 2, ready, go. Ta, ta. Sorry, we'll try that one more time saying it. 1, 2, ready, go. Ta, ta, ta-di, ta, mi ta, takadimi, taka, ta. Get the metronome stopped. And that will take you through the dotted eighth note 16th, and the 16th followed by the dotted eighth note. So we've kind of added that next layer in the rhythms. So now, if I go back up to the top here, here's all the different rhythms we can address. So we've done all those, so I'm going to draw a line here to kind of separate that bottom part. Now we've also done eighth notes. We've done our 16ths. Which has the 2 bars. We've done the we've done the eighth note followed by the 2 16ths. We've done the 2 16ths followed by the eighth note. And then today we went through and did the dotted eighth note followed by the 16th. And the 16th note followed by the dotted eighth note. So we've really covered a ton of different rhythms. A ton of different rhythms. And honestly, 90% of the music you're going to play is going to fall into one of these rhythm groups. Again, in my next video, I'll start covering some of the things you may not see as often. We'll talk about triplets and some of the 6/8 type meters and things like that. But honestly, for most music, right here is everything that'll get you going. I hope you found this helpful and that seeing and hearing these different rhythms played along with seeing them on screen will help you understand how Takadimi applies to these different rhythms. But again, if you're still not sure on something or would like a little more expansion upon some of these things, just leave a comment below and I'm more than happy to go into further detail if I can in a comment, or I'll just make another one of these videos and go into more detail in the video. So don't hesitate to leave a comment below, and while you're down there, take a minute to like and subscribe to my channel as I greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, this is Adam on Tech, signing off.